people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough.
This is the Patriots Prayer Podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.
PPN, you're doing the right thing.
On the Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you all.
PPN on your bumper.
I'm Tom McDonald. This is the Patriot Prayers Network. Check it out. Lots of good TV. Lots of cool people. Tune in. Keep it locked.
I'm the white boy with the middle fingers in the air, dog. We don't give a what. 100 white boys gonna hold me down anywhere, dog. We think that you suck. My Patriots the craziest. They ain't afraid of breaking fists on faces. If you really wanna taste of this, no safety tip. Just aim the stick and spray the clip. I pray you miss, cause if you don't, they gon' go wacko. Automatic gun smoke like tobacco. Never hit a lady, but it's pretty hard to tell if you're a girl or a they, them. There's these, that, those. I ain't never gonna take a knee for the anthem. Smack them. I don't give a damn, can't stand them. Gang full of randoms. Fan with a handgun. Run up in your mansion, leave it all abandoned. I was raised to be brave till the grave. United States, we love the country that they've been corrupting. Go woke and go broker if you ain't obey. My people of this country and we're under attack. They banning us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is American flags. American flags. American flags. And every time we pull up, all you...
There it is. So, guys, welcome to the Patriots Prayer Podcast. And let me welcome my guests. I have AJ Richards and Brooke Ence with me tonight. And we're going to be talking about a lot of things, but I assume food sovereignty, the corporatization of, they're taking over the farms. And I was reintroduced to AJ because we had spoke before. And I'm death scrolling through TikTok. And here's AJ. And he gives a story. And I would love, AJ, if you would kind of to reiterate that story about how the U.S. gave a deal to a specific company and how that is a detriment to, the food market in this country. And if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah. You're talking about the JBS video that got quite a bit of attention. So there's 4 major corporations that control 85% of the meat supply chain in America. Tyson, Cargill, Morfrig, and JBS. Morfrig and JBS are both Brazilian-owned corporations. JBS is the largest in the world. They bribed over 1,800 Brazilian federal officials to scale them quickly in the way that they did. And they've had to pay large amounts of money for antitrust violations and price fixing and so forth. They're just extremely corrupt. The founders ended up doing time in prison and having to pay a massive fine because of this bribery. I mean, it wasn't low level. It was a significant deal.
But are they still in business?
Well, fast forward now, JBS has just been approved by the SEC to go public in America on the New York Stock Exchange.
Because that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
That makes a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. And people that will argue will say, well, at least under IPO, there's more scrutiny. But why the hell are you giving them access to our markets in the first place? Like they're literally the cause of us losing our farmers and ranchers because of the way they manipulate prices in the market.
That line of thinking, we may as well have Burisma Energy. I mean,
yeah,
why not?
Right. So that's who JBS is. That in a nutshell, you can go Google them. It's very easy to find the details. And they've been approved to. They've been trying to do this for years. It's called incrementalism. Environmental groups or whatever just attacking our food sovereignty. They'll push something. They'll get pushed back, but they don't go away. They just wait or rename it, and then they come back again the next year. And so they've been restricted and haven't been allowed to do this for quite a few years. But they actually they own a company called Pilgrim's Pride. Pilgrim Pride was the single largest donor to Trump's inauguration, $5 million for the inauguration party. Fast forward 3-4 months later, they go public on the New York Stock Exchange. So,
like I was saying, even before we started, there are things, guys, the tribalism in this country is crazy. We can disagree. with things that any administration does.
Well, we should.
And we should. I mean, we should never worship politicians. They work for us. And when we find things that we disagree, we should tell them. And I happen to know I'm going to have an opportunity to talk to him not long from now. So I got a lot of things I want to talk about.
Yeah. JBS aside, the large food corporations as a whole, our nation now is in a position where we are wholly dependent on foreign inputs. We've forsaken our own food supply for so long that we are now in trouble. Mm-hmm. So when I question why they're doing what they're doing in the USDA level, focusing so much on large farms versus our small family farms, which by the way, make up the majority of producers currently. The only thing I can think is that I don't hold all the cards in the deck, right? There are things that I do not know. And so it's possible they're preventing famine, because if we lost our big corporate agriculture as it sits right now, we would have famine. I mean, that's just the reality. So perhaps there's things going on that we're not privy to that they have to make sure exists. But that would be the only reason I could see things like some of the decisions being made, because it sure is not helping our small family farms.
Well, it's funny because some of the things that I was paying very close attention early on, you're saying that the environmentalists are some of your biggest hindrances, right? And so this goes in all shades of liberalism, right? Whether you talk about Black Lives Matter, it's all in the name. It's like what they do is typically antithetical to what they say they stand for. So you hear people talk about, and you guys will know this better than me, but I've had these arguments with people, and I know a little bit about a lot and a lot about a few things, but they say things like over farming and all these types of things. I don't know that's actually a thing. I mean, when I grew up, I come from a lineage of, if you go back a few generations, we were farmers. My people are from the Appalachians. We grew and made everything that we use. And you didn't find too many people that were reliant on grocery stores and that sort of thing. We have gotten very comfortable.
By design. It's by design.
And it's not working in our favor.
No.
But is there an over farming state, or are we just saying, hey, we're going to subsidize farmers and we're going to let so much of this crop come in from Germany, China, or wherever we pull it in from? I mean, does that actually benefit anyone? Does that, or what's really going on there?
No. So what's happening is because the big companies are looking to maximize their revenue, so they vertically integrated globally, which means now they can source from other countries where it costs far less to produce livestock, for example. They can bring it over cheaper and sell it at American prices, which then our American producers, they can't produce quality beef at the same price at the same.
They're also held to a much different standard.
Yeah, and the standards here are way different.
Everything, they're going and getting cheaper product, bringing it over. Where also a lot of places, it's a lot less, way less regulation on how the health of the animals are. The situation, what their life is like, where they're being held or kept, or what they're being fed. Like, we don't have any idea, nor do we have any say in those things when the animal is coming from Brazil, or it's coming from Uruguay, or, all these other places, and no one can compete with it here.
Yeah.
Just let's talk about that for a second. Regulation in the United States when it comes to ranching and farming as a whole. I mean, how much of a hindrance is it to you? And what regulations do you think are in place right now that we could probably do without, that might open the market up and may be better for everybody as a result?
For one in particular, which AJ, you can speak on it better than me, but is, a cow-calf pair per acreage, limiting the amount you can have, per acreage that you have.
Yeah.
It almost limits mob grazing, which is proven to help restore
what's the science based on for that, though? What are they?
That's the problem. It's not. So what Brooke's referring to are regulations in the West. Most ranchers are grazing under Bureau of Land Management, Department of the Interior.
Oh yeah, Clive Bundy's not far from me. I know that story all too well.
Yeah, and Clive's my uncle. So
stop playing games.
I'm not.
You really know? I want to talk to this guy, man.
You
got to set this up.
Ammon's my second cousin. So
I want to go out to the ranch and talk to him. I'm afraid to go out there because I don't want to get shot. So I don't want to just show up, right? So
you're not going to get shot, but I'll connect you with Ammon for sure.
Yeah, I would love to go out there and talk to him because I tell this story all the time. It's such a glowing example of American militias in, an actual example of how we actually used it in the right way.
Yeah.
And
they were right. They were right both times. Like the news doesn't go back and make sure the world knows the outcome.
No, everyone on a big scale that are so, just really separated from agriculture and the way of life and honestly rights that we had. It was very easy to paint it as they're in the wrong, they're the bad guys.
Yeah. Yeah. If you live in the city, just pay attention to the kind of group think that's coming, because this is what communism has done throughout history to create famine. They turned the urbanites against rural communities. They created this idea that either they were somehow they were the enemy, but that's where the food was being grown. And so, Stalin did it with the Holodomor, Mao did it in China, but they turned the urbanites against rural communities. So if you live in the city, I'm not asking you to change your mind. I'm just saying, just be aware of your thought process around people. Have they convinced you that their property rights, that their family, when they put their hard work, blood, tears, and lost family members building that ranch, have they convinced you that they somehow shouldn't be there? Because what they're doing is growing food. Mm-hmm. And if somebody in the city spent a month in peak season with a rancher and saw what it took to do that, you would see it a different way. But the messaging going on is turning the people against their food supply. That's where famine starts. And so this has been one of our biggest goals, is to build the bridge, because Brooke and I, we grew up connected enough with agriculture. Her family are, they're ranching now, and we grew up in that world, my family being the Bundys, but then we also lived in the city for a decent portion of, our adult lives. And so we see the disconnect between.
Where are you from, AJ?
I'm from St. George, Utah, but I lived in Phoenix for 12 years. And now I live in Cody, Wyoming. So I'm from where Brooke is at.
And I'm from where I am at. Yeah.
Yeah. And she's
I'm from Baltimore City, so I've seen how bad it can really be. The worst as it can possibly get.
Yeah.
And even though this is still a city, this is nothing like that. Right. I'm ready to go to Cody, Wyoming. That's what I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm done with this.
Oh man, the weight that lifted off my shoulders when I moved here, I was like, oh wow, I didn't know I needed that. I mean, I knew I needed it, but not that bad.
It's sad because, like you said, a lot of people put blood, sweat, and tears and generations into farming, land, whatever the case may be. And we saw under the Biden regime, they restricted water to farms. They did as much as they could. Even during the COVID restrictions, we saw cattle farmers and dairy farms just kind of dumping product down the drains. And
that's because that's when the wheels fell off. That's where we got, and I didn't know how bad it was until COVID. So I was selling beef for my family's ranch. We were growing our business direct to consumer, monthly subscription boxes, doing well. We called to get slaughter in like March, April of 2020. And the place we would go, and anytime we'd call, they're like, yeah, how many do you have? Okay, cool. We'll see you next week. COVID hits, we called and they're like, we can see you in 18 months. And I was like, what? Wow. And then I started looking around. I was like, oh man, we're in trouble. Our food system is so bad that, COVID showed a lot of weaknesses throughout the nation.
Definitely expose a lot of things in every particular industry. It doesn't matter which one it was, whether it be the medical industry, and we get all of our antibiotics from the same people who gave us the disease.
Right. So, but there's one industry more important than all industries that exist, because nations live and die on their agriculture. It's that significant. Nations live and die on their agriculture, and we're trending towards forgetting, just like every society that has failed, 100 years or so into their existence, they make mistakes, their agriculture crumbles, and their society's gone.
So what is the answer? What is the vision? Where are we at with it? Start us from the beginning. You had this idea last year. It was around election time. We were doing the Vote for America thing. We spoke. You kind of laid out some of the idea then, and then we spoke again, and it seems to be moving along quite nicely.
Mm.
And so explain to us where you started, where you're at, where you want to go, and what you want the end result to be.
Yeah. Overnight success, 10 years in the making. Yeah. So clear, we started this in 2020. That's when it became clear that we needed a new food system, because I was trying to sell direct and it wasn't working. And
Right.
the tools I needed didn't exist as a producer. What we needed help with was marketing and logistics, getting the people's attention and getting it out there. Because when we were marketing, we would post on Facebook and they would turn us off because they would claim we're not allowed to sell animals. And yet I had certified USDA packaged food I was trying to sell. So the only way you could sell it is if you understood ad spend, marketing, keyword search, and knew how to play the SEO game. Well, how many ranchers have time to go and do that? Right. So
no, you usually find someone like me. That's
right.
Usually happens.
And they usually can't afford you because it's really hard to make a living being in ranching. Most folks are working off farm jobs. Like they have the ranch producing food, but they don't make enough money. So they have a job somewhere else in town to make it work. So the solution that we've been working towards is something like an Airbnb digital farmers market. In other words, Airbnb, everybody thinks now when we travel, let's look for an Airbnb, right? It's as common as hotels. So that's the idea of how Airbnb works so well. Cause now you can have an empty bedroom, throw it up, and all of a sudden you've got it rented out. Right.
Yep.
If farms can do that and we build a system that's that easy, they now have a competitive marketplace where if they put the product up and there's hundreds of thousands of Americans that want to shake the hand that feeds them, then we have simplified a major need that they need help with. And then the second thing is getting it to the customer. And that's a heavier lift, but it's just as important. The more we can localize food, the more costs we can reduce in shipping. The new middleman is FedEx and UPS. So if we can build this big enough to where we have thousands of farms, now you're doing business locally, which is reducing all those input costs. And that's where we can help with logistics. But we can do other things building up to that, like helping with shipping reduction costs and aggregating packaging for our producers, those things. But overall, if we fix and stop the loss of farms now, we're in trouble. We can't just sustain a broken system. You have to build a path to creating better than what we have. And just like Airbnb, if we can make growing food and selling it locally so easy, just like your dream is to get the heck out of the city and be in the Appalachians. If we had a platform that was waiting for a few dozen eggs and some chicken, and you're like, hey, I can just do this in my backyard and I've got an outlet for it, you'll go into the business of farming because we've simplified it and we've brought a demand. That's what we're trying to do.
And where are you at in the process of this in a linear form? Are you 70% there, 60% there? What's lacking still for you? What do you need to complete this dream?
Yeah.
Something in particular is we need customers to change their spending habits.
Yeah.
Which is it's a habit. So more people to recognize the importance of it and really just being able to, be centered with the fact that healthier, everyone wants to be healthier. We all care about being healthier. Well, the best option for you is to go to the source. And it is to go to the producer and not to the grocery store. Because at least my hope is that today, that more people are starting to recognize that you don't know what's not only in your processed foods, like the stuff on the shelves, but you don't know what's in your meat that you're buying. You don't know how it was processed. You probably don't know that the chicken that you're buying at the grocery store more than likely was doused in, bleach or chlorine or something like that when they clean it. It's mostly full of that water that fills it up. That's why when you start to cook it, all that drains out. There's so many things just in the process of how to process these animals that you don't know. Just because it says organic, that doesn't mean anything anymore.
It's a lot of things that are organic.
You want the OG organic, you're going to the rancher. You're going to the farmer.
And what is the cost benefit? Is there a cost benefit from cutting out the middleman and going directly to the rancher? And what does that look like?
Yeah, that's a great question because the answer is actually no. Now, you can if you buy bulk. And so some of the things we're trying to do is re-educate people on how some of our ancestors source food, and knowing what comes in a full cow is very foreign to so many people right now. If you go to the rancher and buy a quarter, half, or whole, you're going to save hundreds of dollars. If you buy a whole beef, you'll save $1,000 or more. But if people don't know that I can buy a full beef and it'll come packaged and it'll be labeled on what it is, and I can just put that in my freezer like I do at the grocery store. So yeah, you can get it cheaper if you know the language to use and how to buy it. But if you're buying it by the steak, right, or by the 5-pound bundle or 10-pound bundle, that took that rancher's personal time to package it, to buy the insulation, the box, and everything, which some of them are happy to do to make it convenient for you for the little box fridge or freezer you have, right? But you'll have to pay for that. But the problem, goes back to the subsidy conversation. What subsidies has done is has hidden the true cost of food. That's the problem with subsidies. We used to spend 30% of our budget on food and 8% on healthcare. Now we spend 8% on our food because it's all highly processed and we think that's how it should be, but it's killing us. And then we're spending way more than 30% on our healthcare. I mean, what's the quality of life that you want in your 70s? If you even want to be around.
what we're eating is killing us. And there's a lot of things I disagree with RFK about, but there's a lot of things that he says that I absolutely agree with. And he's 100% right.
Yeah.
And when you found out that not only did they inject our beef, I got to be careful. I'm on YouTube, but you know what I mean? They literally went out and they put medicine in those cattle. And then they rounded up all the wildlife, the deer and the venison, millions of them, and they put it in their feeders. And so a lot of people are thinking, I didn't take that, I didn't do that. But whether or not you realize it, you ingested it, and God knows what else you're ingesting in the process. And now people, I go to Whole Foods. Well, Amazon bought them, so you're not really getting anything organic there either. And they're playing tricks with the labels, just like Brooke brought up earlier. So we do have to be a little more intentional. And I think the world is finally getting to a time where we are starting to be intentional, because even me, and I'm a guy who, I never gave a damn what I ate growing up, but that caught up with me. So, and now I care.
Yeah.
Now I care.
Is like the things that you ate that were like, the junk food when you were growing up, same as like for me, it's not the same as it is today. Like even like the cereal when I was younger, the ingredient list was shorter, was smaller. It is significantly worse today than it was when I was growing up.
We work with a company, another company that's, the idea of the parallel economy and, supporting the American worker. And it's the same thing for them. It's like, you can understand our ingredients. All the stuff is sourced here in the United States. And there are a lot of reasons why we're funding our own demise, our own downfall, right? We're literally going to the stores and funding the corporations that are turning that money around and using it against us. I'll give you an instance. We're fighting right now in LA and in a couple of other places. And I just drove through a protest on the way here. And Chilla is a company out in LA, and it's a tax funded organization that literally is funding people to go fight against the federal government. And it is funded by the government, by your tax dollars. And there are many more examples of that. Walmart, yesterday, there was a big thing going around online about all the gas masks and things that were being supplied to people. And then they tried to put it out on the internet that it was false, that Walmart had anything to do with that. Well, they were being real slick with their wording, because it was the Waltons, specifically Christy Walton, who was behind the funding of the gas mask. And the boxes literally came with a yellow label that said paid for by Christy Walton. It's like, or people online saying that's not true. It's very true. It's very true. And these are the places where we spend our money, and we need to be intentional. We do have the power to fix it. Our dollar, our pocketbook, our bank account, there's so much power there if we just use it correctly. And we stop taking our money to places that just don't give a damn about us.
Yeah.
Well, we need that to happen before, social credit system. If that's on our horizon, we need to be intentional with where we're spending our money before you don't get to choose where you spend your money. Yeah. You might want to spend it over here, but not this month.
Yeah. The corporatocracy is, a very real thing. And when we get, we have monopolies, and we used to break them up back in the day, the divestiture, Mabel, the whole AT&T thing, a little before my time, but I understand what happened. And now today we have conglomerates. We have large groups like Vanguard, State Street, BlackRock, who literally own 51+% of everything. And they're not seen as a monopoly, although they have the majority on every board of every media company, of every technology company. And so they are a monopoly, right? Mm-hmm. So we may be time for us to go back to the drawing board, look at some of our laws and how they're structured, and apply them to investing houses, and stop allowing foreign companies to come over to a sovereign country and buy farmland. I know who in their right mind would allow that to happen. I don't understand that. But I digress a little bit. Brooke, we didn't get a proper introduction from you, and so tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, I'm Brooke Ence, from Southern Utah, born and raised. Me and AJ are distant relatives. Our family settled the area. So.
Oh no!
There we are.
Yeah, a little bit of background on me. I have done many things. I went to CrossFit Games. I've started and still do own different businesses. I had a podcast for about 6 years, and then I really cut a lot of things out of my day-to-day so that I could go all in on what AJ and I are working on with From the Farm. It is a passion project. It's a burn the boats project. And
is this you?
Yes.
Is that you?
Yeah.
What's going on here?
All the Amazon workout. I'm in the front here. That's back in, when did I go to UK? 20.
Oh my goodness. I'm tired looking at you.
I don't know who did this workout or made this video. I did not.
I don't know. You have some fans out there. But you were also in Wonder Woman.
I was in Wonder Woman and the Justice League. I was in Amazon.
How about that?
Yeah.
Gal Gadot.
Gadot.
Whatever.
I like Gadot. I like Gadot.
Gadot.
Yeah. It's like reminds me when my dad says hortivores.
I watch some of this, and I do go to the gym, and quite often I drop my wife off and I come home. And so I do see it. I'm like in the parking lot. I'm very adjacent to the thing. But no, it's good. I'm actually down 37 pounds in the last several months, and nice. I am working on getting healthier, and I do give a damn. And I just thought, I was one of those guys who had a metabolism that wouldn't quit until at 34 it did. And then all of a sudden it's like, I used to brag, I can't gain any weight, and I was just naturally. And then all of a sudden,
say, like, if I looked at a dessert the wrong way, the calories just jumped on my body.
It's nuts. And then all of a sudden your metabolism goes, okay, watch this. And then next thing you know, you're
back to the drawing board.
You're making all those sounds you used to tease your dad about when he would sit down. Those sounds that your dad makes when he sits down, and then he stands up, and you're like, now I make every single one of those sounds. So
my knee, even if I'm thinking I'm feeling pretty good, and then I just walk up a flight of stairs and I'm like, my knees, occasional pops here and there. I'm like, even if I'm not making sounds or showing people, my age or how I feel, my body does it. It's outing me everywhere I go.
Yeah.
I can't even
sound
be
like you're
anymore.
Sound like you're having a conversation in like some weird African language.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've spent a lot of time in health and fitness. I have a training program. It's called the Naked Program. Been doing that for many years now. I'm deeply rooted. My heritage is deeply rooted in agriculture. I have a very strong tie to that way of life, to this way of life and stewarding land. It means a lot to me. It means a lot to me because I do it with my dad. It means a lot to me because I know what my grandpa and my great grandpa and what AJ's family, what they went through to establish an area, being the first ones there. You know, it's, to me, I feel like yes, and like having like family land, right? So like property that's been in your family ever since the beginning of them, you know, staking their ground, like, okay, here we are, let's get to work. To be able to carry that from generation to generation and take care of it, that in my mind, and for sure, probably because my dad has talked to me this way, it's like, that's how you can live on in your kids, in your grandkids. You know, it blows my mind how little some people have a care for it.
Well, I just hearing you talk about it, like I'm getting the osmosis of your pride. I'm feeling your pride as you're saying it. And it's pride in your hard work, and it's pride in, you know, putting the work in and you have something to show for it. It's not pride in my Instagram posts. It's not pride in, you know, my hair or how I look or what, you know, what private jet I'm on. It's not pride in, you know, getting invited to this social gathering. It's pride in hard work and being someone that is dependable and that building something. And building something that is long-standing and lasting, and it means something, not only for you, it's caring about the people around you, your community, your kids. That's exactly what we lack. We lack the ability to care about our neighbors and our communities. And unfortunately, we brought up earlier, but it is the inner cities. And I know the one that I came from, no one even really had to tell you, but the idea is that get whatever you can get, however you can get it. And no matter who it hurts in the process, as long as you're doing well, it's okay. It's okay. It's that dog eat dog mentality. And it's also the instant gratification that is taught to our children today. Like they think they're just going to graduate high school, show up to the Bureau of High Paying Jobs and just get one and not have to go through the process and the sweat and the long hours and the things before you actually achieve something. That you can actually stand on and like I put the hard work into this and now look what it's grown into. They just want it from the very beginning. And I think that a lot of the reason why they don't respect it. And what you're talking about is exactly that. You're talking about, you know, you start out as a seed. Now look at this oak tree that's in my front yard that my granddad's granddad planted and
it's buried under.
Yeah, it's something there to that, and that's the kind of stuff like I wish I could say that, you know, I know there are places in Kentucky and Tennessee and in my heritage that people that I have a cousin named Trampus, so you know how country we are, right? So we do have places like that, and I just don't get back to them very often, and so I get it, and I understand, and this is not my favorite place, but it is definitely one of those things where a lot of people find that to make a living and to be able to eke your way through this life and pay the rent. Now it's like it takes two incomes and you can't typically move out to the country. Our industry's gone. We don't have mills anymore. We used to have steel mills, paper mills, logging. You know, we don't have those. Allentown, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, where the coal mines and the mining industry was, largely are people now that are addicted to drugs. The towns are desolate and the politicians just don't care. And these EPA nuts are running around smelling their own farts like they've done something good when all they've really done is destroyed the ecology and the economy of an entire town that, you know, existed generation after generation because of that mill.
Yeah.
And now we don't have that anymore. And the farming industry, the way you're explaining to me, is going the same route. Do we have hope?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, giving credit where it's due, we've been calling this administration out on what they're doing on big ag corporate side. But within the administration under the SBA, Trump has directed them to cut massive amounts of regulation preventing small business. I'm in conversation with one of the rural the directors for the SBA for our region, and he's a friend of mine, and so he was telling me like Trump is on it, and we're looking to cut regulation. Where can we look? And you asked earlier about policy, so a couple of policies I put him on right away that would really help move the needle, getting regulation out of the way. is the Food Modernization Act that Obama put in place in 2011. When he did that, prior to that, farms could harvest their food and go straight to the grocery store and sell it to the grocery stores. When they enacted the Food Modernization Act, the equipment it would have cost them to install it would have put them out of business. So they were effectively out of business. A good friend of ours, Steve Jarvis, his social media is Out of the Wild 3D. He was invited to DC to talk about his farm plan. But Steve was voted number one farmer based off his production in Texas in 2010, and he was bankrupt out of business in 2011 because of that one rule, which wiped out thousands of farms. So, you know, I'm letting this guy know about this as an issue, and he's like, man, that's probably 5% of regulation budget that we're trying to axe right now. So gave him a few more, like the Prime Act. Prime Act isn't necessarily regulation, but because we don't have the Prime Act, regulation prevents consumers in certain states from buying food right from the farmer.
Were you affected by cap and trade as well?
I'm not too familiar with that to speak on it. Possibly.
Cap and trade would, I mean, I figure it may affect the cattle industry because it was a tax that was based off of the emissions.
Yeah,
so I don't know if they based those emissions off of the number of cattle, because of the way you were talking about earlier, so much cattle per land per square footage. I didn't know if that was part of that whole regulatory response and that they put in place. I know you guys are short on time, so tell everybody where they can find you, what the mission is. Screen is yours. I'm gonna step back and let you have it.
Yeah, go. Throw me on there. All right, so. From the Farm USA on all social media platforms, we do a lot to stay engaged, to share policies and things that are going on so you guys can be aware. We help call out when farmers and ranchers need help throughout the country because they're being wrongfully persecuted. So you can follow us on any of those socials. The biggest thing right now is we got a crowdfunding going on. So if you want to be involved in this, it's SEC regulated. It's on WeFunder. You can go to wefunder.com/from the farm. And get involved, invest. There's a return on that. All the details are there. And most importantly, go visit and connect with the farms we have on fromthefarm.org. So this isn't something we're just talking about and hoping to do. We've been doing this. We launched the platform a year ago. We're always making improvements. This thing is entirely driven by and for the people. We work for our farmers. We are producers ourselves. So we are building this by, for, and with them. So if you go to fromthefarm.org, shop around there, buy right from them. These are amazing folks. We have gotten to know every single one of them to know that they are family-owned operations. And that's the biggest thing, folks. The amount of conversations I have with producers right now that they're barely hanging on and they're doing everything they can to get food to you guys. They just need the people to rally. That's it. The farmers are ready. The ranchers are ready. They just need the consumers to make some priority shifts on where you guys are getting your food and go right to the source and shake the hand that feeds you. So yeah, that's how you can connect.
All right. And Brooke, I would be remiss if I didn't.
Well, AJ, I mean, he pretty much said all of it, but I will just say this. I mean, you don't need to come and find me on social media. Definitely find me through From the Farm. When you hear about all the things that are happening, you know, we talked about, going out and injecting wildlife, right, in the cows. You know, they've got a lot of workarounds of ways that they can sneak things into your diet. So I firmly believe that even with being healthy or trying to be healthy today, to truly try and take care of yourself and your health for longevity, you have to put in so much more effort today than you used to. And one of the easiest things we can do to actually take back some control of our health is our diet. And the easiest way to do that is to go straight to the source. We are, with JBS going public or wherever they are on that timetable, that's really upsetting, and what we need to not do is just continue to talk about or complain about that, right? And then find different things we can connect it to. We have to stop just talking about it. We have to start doing something about it. And we, the people, can in fact make big changes to our food situation in the United States. We have to change where we are purchasing our food from. If we're not going to the grocery store and we're not adding dollars into that, into that monster and into that system, we're going somewhere else to get our food. well, they will be forced to change. So we need to come together. We need to band together, and we need to basically strong arm them. Sorry, can't speak, but know where your food's coming from. Shake the hand that feeds you. And yeah, we would really love it if you checked out our WeFunder. Something that we are very, very proud of, and we will not bend on is this. There's no exit strategy.
Yeah.
This is from the farm is something that we want to know that we can create, build, and that it will be there. It will be there for, I don't have kids, but nieces, nephews, AJ's kids. It's going to be there long-term. We cannot be bought out. We cannot be bought. We are genuinely burn the boats, because we will do whatever we can in order to save our small family farms and ranches, not only for our own personal ones, but if we don't save them across the board, across the country, we are really in trouble.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Food sovereignty is so important. And knowing, where the food came from, who grew it, what's in it, what's been injected in it, that is so huge. And we've gotten very complacent as Americans in general. We've gotten very complacent, and I think I don't know what it's going to take to wake people up. I think COVID went a long way toward waking some people up. So guys, definitely go check them out over at wefunder.com/fromthefarm. Invest. If you have it to invest, help, be a part of the solution, be the change you want to see. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to come on here and explain this to people. And AJ, I'm going to hold you to that Bundy interview.
I was going to say, I'm like, we'll get you up to Bundy Ranch.
I'm going to hold you to that Bundy interview. I definitely would enjoy just going out and having a conversation with him. It was a wild time in our state, and a lot of people got the wrong end of that story. And Joe Pio, who's a friend of the show, he also he gave me a rendition of it. It was quite different as well. So guys, thank you so much. And as I usually say on here, the silent majority, you need to stop being silent and stand your ground. Evil will never retreat willingly. It must always, and in every case, be beaten back. Thank you for watching the Patriots Prayer, and look forward to us going to the broadcast starting on Q Network. CUE broadcasting will begin next week live on TV. The Patriot Prayer Network is going big time, guys. So check out the links on all of our bios. Go sign up. It's the cheapest streaming service you can get, I guarantee you. And it has all the same stuff you're going to get in DirecTV or YouTube TV with a lot lower price tag. Plus, we'll be there. So thank you guys so much. And AJ, I mean it. If you want a spot and you get your podcast going, I got a spot for you.
Okay. Yep. We appreciate it. We got to get it there.
It's yours, brother.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Guys, have a great night.
You too. Thanks.
Thank you.
My people of this country, and we're under attack. They ban us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough.
This is the Patriots Prayer Podcast. It's a tremendous show, one of the greatest shows in the history of the world.
This is Bryson Gray, and you are watching the Patriots Prayer.
PTN, you're doing the right thing.
On the Patriots Prayer Network. Thank you all.
PPN on your bumper.
I'm Tom McDonald. This is the Patriot Prayers Network. Check it out. Lots of good TV. Lots of cool people. Tune in. Keep it locked.
Know where I stand. I'm a white boy with the middle fingers in the air, dog. We don't give a what. 100 white boys gonna hold me down anywhere, dog. We think that you suck. My Patriots the craziest. They ain't afraid of breaking fists on faces. If you really wanna taste of this, no safety tip. Just aim the stick and spray the clip. I pray you miss, cause if you don't, they gon' go wacko. Automatic gun smoke like tobacco. Never hit a lady, but it's pretty hard to tell if you're a girl or a they, them. There's these, that, those. I ain't never gonna take a knee for the anthem. Smack them. I don't give a damn, can't stand them. Gang full of randoms. Fan with a handgun. Run up in your mansion, leave it all abandoned. I was raised to be brave to the grave. United States, we love the country that they've been corrupting. Go woke and go broker if you ain't awake. My people of this country, and we're under attack. They ban us, they cancel us for speaking the facts. If you man enough, come stand with us, take USA back. And every time we pull up, all you're gonna see is America.